Good morning, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101. Good morning, John. Guys, today I want to talk about the most powerful thing is saving versus investing. We understand that I do stock reviews Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays now. But on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I try to give you guys some really, really good financial information so you guys can go about your life and actually do better with your life financially. Because at the end of the day, we understand that if you don't have money, you can't really do too much of anything, okay? So we need to understand the huge difference between saving and investing. Some people like to come to this channel and just learn about investing. But there's a huge difference between savings and investing, okay, ladies and gentlemen? And we need to know the difference because we need to understand that saving money is a process of putting cash aside in an extremely safe place that you can access in a very short time frame, okay? Another good thing to understand with that being said is that saving, you have a goal, right? I'm saving for a car. I'm saving for a house. You have a purpose for your saving. But most important, besides that, you need an emergency fund, money that you absolutely do not touch. Money that you absolutely do not touch in case of emergency. No, there's a new event. There's a show. You need to go buy an outfit. You need to go buy shoes. That's not an emergency. You stuck on the side of the road and your car breaks down and you need to get a new carburetor. And they don't do carburetors anymore. New fuel injections, new engine, new transmission. That is an emergency, okay? Someone died in the family abruptly and you need to go visit them and you don't have the money, so you go into your emergency fund. These are emergencies, okay? Not everyday things that you guys normally go about, and because you ran out of money, right? You had too much month at the end of your money, you decided to go into your emergency fund. That is not an emergency. You need to hunker down, bite your lip, and fight your way through it until you get paid again, because your emergency fund is not to be touched. There is a huge difference between saving and investing, okay? And again, saving, you have a goal. You have either different expenses you want to save for, like a large TV or maybe some movie chairs or a couch. You save for those things. Just because you want it now doesn't give you a good reason to go out and hurt your emergency fund. Because what if, okay, because people don't like the if factor. What if you go out and you spend your money on that car that's not an emergency because you already have a car, and then the emergency happens, you have no emergency funds or cash to handle that emergency? That's the huge difference. Because the risk in saving is very, very low. Okay, as long as you get, I've done plenty savings videos showing you guys different accounts, but basically a basic savings account don't cost you any money. It may say, oh, you need $50 to open this account, but that's about it. There's no ATM charges, or they reimburse you if you go to another bank up to 10 transactions. But a savings account, that's all it's there for your emergency fund. And then also, this is my belief, your emergency fund should be different than the other saving goals you have. Because the other saving goals, you're like, wait a minute, how much do I have in my emergency fund? You can't combine the two. It's like oil and water. That's the way you think. You can, even though it's in the same glass. Like, take for instance me. With my bank, I have multiple accounts. I have 2 savings accounts, 2 checking accounts, okay? So I do different things. Even though it's in the same cup, they don't mix. because I know this is the emergency fund, and I know this is the savings account that I need for my regular day expenses that I would like to save up for, something on that sort of thing. Now, the only difference between savings and investment when it comes to this are the returns. The returns for savings are very, 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 very low, are very low. And we understand that with investing, your returns can be extremely high. But the liquidity in both of these, with investing, it's low, with saving, it's high. What does that simply mean? It means the access to cash. You can access your cash when it comes to saving immediately. But when it comes to investing, that means you have to sell off assets in order to get your cash. And that can take anywhere up to 3 to 7 days and sometimes. So we need to understand the difference in these, because it's very important that you understand the way your money works for you and the way that you can probably work against your money. Investing money is a process of using your money or capital, however you have it invested, to buy assets. That's usually stocks, bonds, future, commodities, so on and so forth. And you think that this has a good probability of generating a safe and acceptable rate of return over course of time. Okay, I know more so we focus on investing, but saving is the hallmark. Saving is the base, because at the end of the day, if the stock market crash, if another recession occurs, if the Great Depression happens, then your savings account is still safe. And most financial institutions that are covered by the FDIC, that's the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, up to $250,000, sometimes up to $500,000, depending on what bank that you have. Now, there's this rule out there talking about the 50-30-20 rule. Okay, the 50-30-20 rule. Anybody familiar with that rule? The 50-30-20 rule. Okay, it says here that the 50-20-30 rule. Let me show you what I'm looking at really quickly. Let me get this out of here. Give me 1 second here. All right. Share my screen. So this right here, the 50-30-20 rule, this is what I'm hallmarking right here, ladies and gentlemen. It says many sources recommend saving 20% of your income every month. According to the popular 50-30-20 rule, you should reserve 50% of your budget for essentials like rent and food, 30% for discretionary spending, and at least 20% for saving. That is utterly ridiculous. That is utterly ridiculous. Okay? Because when you really think about this, ladies and gentlemen, when you really think about this, it's saying $50 for your mortgage and rent, your utilities, and this, that, and the other. That's how much. And we're talking about 100% of your gross income, and some you can actually factor in after taxes. It says here that you should reserve, okay, you should reserve 50% of your budget, and then 30% should be for discretionary spending. Then 20% should be for saving. Do not use this rule. Okay, don't ever use this rule in your life. This is a horrible rule. The 50-30-20 rule is a horrible rule. It says 50, pay for your rent, your mortgage, your utilities, and food and things of that nature. Okay, cool. I understand that. But 30% for discretionary spending. Do you guys know what discretionary spending is? Oh man, I need a new sweat hood. Let me just go buy it. Oh man, I need a new water bottle. I need a new mask. I need everything. You just go buy it, go buy it, go buy it, go buy it. 30% of your annual income is used for spending, and only 20% is for saving. That does not make any sense. Okay, so here's the thing. Take, for instance, if you make $100,000 a year, okay? Take, for instance, if you make $100,000 a year, and I'm just using big numbers because they're easy to work with and easier to understand. And you invested 15% of that $100,000 in a year. You invested 15% of that $100,000 in a year. You would be investing $15,000 in 1 year. You would be investing $15,000 in 1 year. And if you save 20% of that $100,000, okay, 20% of that $100,000, you would have been saving $20,000 in a year. That means that you have 65% left over. So depending on a lot of activity that you have in your finances, like paying off debt, we got to factor in debt, right? Because we're talking about mortgage, we're talking about car, we're talking about personal loan, business loan, you still have 65% to cover your living, to cover your food, and to pay off debt. Don't follow this 30% discretionary spending. That is ridiculous. That's probably the problem why most Americans are in debt right now, because they fall in this dumbass 50-30-20 rule. This is stupid, okay? I can't even stress this enough, because there's no investing in this. You can't times 10 your money. So I'm going to go ahead and research this very quickly. The average investing return, okay? Because that's what we can actually go off. It says here, it says the average stock market return is about 10% per year. I'll let you see what I'm looking at. It says right here, the average stock market return is about 10% per year for nearly the last century, okay? The S&P 500 is often considered the benchmark measure for annual stock market returns. Though 10% is the average stock market return, returns in any year are far from average, meaning they go way up, okay? My average returns, now I'll show you my portfolio here. Let me blow it up really quickly. Now I'm just going to go a year out. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to do a year out. I'm going to do a year out. And here's my average return. Look at my average return, ladies and gentlemen, 118%. So the average is 10, but my return has been 118% for the past year. Okay, so that means that I've made $14,000 just in investing this year. Let me blow this a little bit more up. I see that it's pretty small. So everyone can see that. That has been my past year, 119%. So we see the power of investing. But if you notice, I said you should invest $15,000 in a year if you make $100,000, and you should save more, because liquidity, you need to have that access to cash. And also in that savings, you got at least 6 months of your emergency fund of all your expenses. And then you may be saving for other items. You know, whether it be furniture, vacation, a car, a motorcycle, a bike, whatever it may be, whatever you're saving for. We can't be the now generation. I don't care how old you are, 20, 30, 40, 50. Stop thinking about that you need to have it now. You need to put it on IG. You need to put it on Facebook. You need to put it on Snapchat. No, you need to save for these things, because one day you're going to get old. One day you won't be looking as good as you thought if you can't afford plastic surgery and Botox. And even with that being said, guess what you need to have in the bank? You need to have money in the bank. People always talking about the bag. Everybody's splurging money. You need to understand the difference between saving and investing over the very, very, very long term. Okay? Because this is the power of investing, but there's power in saving as well. There's power in saving as well. And you guys need to understand the difference, because there's no investing without saving. There's no investing without saving. Okay, because you understand that I created the 4 tiers of money. The 4 tiers of money. Getting out of debt. Very, very, very important. Getting out of debt, saving, investing, and working on your credit. These are very hallmark to your financial being and the power you can have in your finances to times 10 any investments. But again, ladies and gentlemen, you have to plan for the worst. No one planned for COVID-19. I did. I planned for COVID-19. I didn't even know it. I had enough money to cover me for 6 months. I had enough money to cover me for 6 months because I planned for COVID-19. Didn't even know it. I didn't know COVID-19 was occurring. Didn't know it was going to happen, but I planned for it. Good morning, Ashley Hawkins. We see, he says, Born in Majesty, do you invest in precious metals like gold and silver? Yes, I buy actual gold and silver because that's real money. Learning every day. Okay. And Ashley Hawkins in oil. I have yet to really invest in oil. I've jumped in and jumped out of like Exxon and some other stocks like that. But ladies and gentlemen, I really want you guys to think about this method I have going on here. Again, you can break this down to your own, whether you make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, okay, dollars. I'm just using $100,000 because it'd be easy for you and I to understand this. So again, if you make $100,000 in a year, ladies and gentlemen, if you save just 15% of that $100,000, then you're going to invest 15%. So my breakdown strategy is this. You invest 15% of the $100,000, which is $15,000. 15% is $15,000 on $100K per year. And you invest that. 20% of $100,000 is $20,000, and you put that in your savings. So you should be saving $20,000 a year. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? If no emergency or if you never is saving up for anything, then all that money is cash just in case, or whenever you need to really get something. Okay, but again, we need to separate your emergency cash from money and goals that you're saving in order for you to do so. Okay, because again, you should have a goal for savings, because if not, you can invest that money. You can invest that money, but we're thinking about solid stocks, ETF, index funds, okay, commodities, futures, bonds, option trading. The list goes on and on. Real estate investing. Okay, so there's many ways you can put your money, but don't use the 50-30-20 plan. $50 on rent, mortgage, utilities, food, then $30% of your actual income per year, discretionary spending. That makes no sense. You're just going to spend 30%. That's ridiculous. But you're only going to save 20%. The 50-30 rule is 50, pay your bills. 30, spend your money. 20, save your money. No. We understand that most people nowadays in America have more debt than anything. So my rule is if you got 100,000 K, and of course you need to do the math yourself, but I call it the 65%. 20% and 15% rule. 65% is going to handle your everyday living costs. We're talking about food, gas, water, mortgage, rent, utilities, and debt. Okay? And we're talking about debt, right? That 15%, that 20% are your savings. You're saving that 20K per year. Okay, and you can break this up, because I don't know necessarily everybody's bill, everybody's expenses for 6 months. And if you notice, this rule is now changing. I heard Susie Orman coming out saying that the emergency fund of 6 months is going to change to a year because of a pandemic. This is going to change our way of thinking. But ladies and gentlemen, was it back in 1918 with the Spanish flu? People didn't plan for the Spanish flu, but nobody really changed the 6 month thing, because pandemics, that's over 100 years ago. The last pandemic essentially was 100 years ago. Now, some people might say, well, the regular flu, Ebola, that wasn't a pandemic. It didn't affect every corner of the world. It didn't. But the last pandemic that affected everybody worldwide was the Spanish flu back in 1918. So essentially, I'm still going to go with the 6 month rule. I may change. Let's go 6 to 8. Let's just say 6 to 8 months you should have. But out of that 20% that you're saving, once you get to 6 to 8 months, then you can kind of start using that saving money for other things that you want and need and start making your goal. But before you go out and you think, oh, well, I'm going to save this month for my emergency fund, I'm going to do this. No, the first priority is your emergency fund before you start making goals for anything else. For cars, boats, motorcycles, bikes, furniture, vacation. The emergency fund is going to hold you up in grim times like this, because a lot of us are waiting on what? The government to, give us a stimulus at $600. I don't know what the hell we're going to do with that. Some of us are waiting for unemployment, $300 per week. That was a decrease from another $300, because the first CARES Act had what? $600. So they cut that in half. So you understand that you can't depend on the government, this corporation, to give you anything in a time of need or even in a pandemic. You need to look out for yourself. And this rule, I believe, that's going to help most of you guys exactly do that. Another form of investing is Bitcoin. Now, and I showed you my return. Okay, and I've been looking at the stock market. It was really thinking about the stock market is going to go down. They really thought that it was going to go down. I see NEO is ticking. It went from 49 to 48. So the stock market is going to be a little funky today. So expect that. This is the last day of trading for this new year. I know that Bitcoin hit up to $29,000, but now it's down to 28.5. Okay, Bitcoin is down at 28.5. So we need to understand that you're going to have a lot of people that I know, they don't really invest because they don't understand it. And I say, hey man, just, hey, subscribe to Financial Literacy 101. I'll break it down Barney style for you. I'm not a complicated guy. I'm just going to break it down. It's easy. Because the power of investing is leaving your money in there and letting it grow. Okay? That's what we need to understand. Because when you think about investing, you think about a good probability of generating a safe and acceptable rate of return over time, making you wealthier as time goes by. Let me show this. Let me just give you guys an example of what I mean. I'm gonna go to a very popular stock. Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna go to a very popular stock. I'm gonna go over to NEO. Okay, I'm gonna show the people on IG this as well. So when I factor in NEO here, okay, when I factor in NEO here, and I go to my timeline, I go take for instance 5 years out. NEO came out in 2018. Well, look at the power of investing. Now, what you see is all of those dips you see in the line here, guys. That is the stock market doing market correction and market pullback dates, which is perfectly normal, which is perfectly fine. But if you notice over time, what goes up? It goes up. It's kind of like they take a break. Picture yourself climbing a mountain. Now look at where NEO first started out. I bought NEO at $3 and something, but through over the course of time, because of dollar cost averaging, I continued to buy more stocks. But as the stock continued to go up, what it does, it goes up in price. Then it hits what? $14.98, and then it drops. Then some investors actually sell, like, no, just keep your money in there, stupid. This is a solid company. Do your research, look for indicators, analyze it, and keep moving. Keep your money in there. What happens? Hit down to $14.98, down to $12, and guess what happened again? It peaked again, $19. You see, it's kind of like you're climbing a mountain, and you get tired, and you just take a break. You just take a break. Like, man, I thought you was going to reach the mountaintop, in 3 hours. Like, yeah, man, it took me 5 hours, but nonetheless, I actually made it. So this is kind of the mindset you have to have in an investment. Pullbacks and market corrections is going to happen. Somebody asked me that I believe that NEO is going to hit $50 again. I said, yes, it will. Okay. Yes, it will. So on November 23rd, NEO went over $50. Now, again, the stock market has been very rocky because of what? There's other inputs to the deliverables of the stock amount in revenue and profit that you thought you may have gotten by now from NEO. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the uncertainty that a stimulus package of any proportion was going to be passed. Like there at one point, no one knew that you was going to even get $600. So this is a lot of the volatility in the market that a lot of investors don't have enough capital to actually invest. So it dropped. But now that we know that we're getting this money, you see that the stock market of December 21st was up to $48.95, and even today is up to $48.38. Now that's back in November. Let's see, it dropped here to $45. So again, this is the power of investing. This is what you need to understand. Okay, let me read some of your notes here, ladies and gentlemen. Let me read some of your notes. Wynn says Bitcoin is going crazy. 15% is not much. I think you're right. Been looking for an amount to invest. I normally just play with investment due to a lack of knowledge. If you can do a year, it won't hurt. However, I think 6 months is about right. Yeah, so around 6 to 8 months is about right. I mean, considering this pandemic has changed a lot of people's mind. But again, the last pandemic was 102 years ago. Okay, so I mean, unless you vegan and you taking the tree of life and you got the fountain of youth and you taking herbs and flowers and fruit, you might make it to 80 or 90 and 95. Yeah, but 100 years, nah, don't even worry about it. Okay. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I think I covered everything I really wanted to cover. Let me just go over my notes really quickly because this is a very important topic. Even though I know I told you guys that the average rate of return, okay, is 10%. But if you invest in solid investment, you'll get 10%. Here's the thing. What's the average savings account? Let me cover this very quickly before I get out of here because a lot of people don't understand. Let me just look this up very quickly because we said the average return of investment is 10%. Average savings, okay, interest rate. Let's look at this one. Compared to investing. Let's look at this one. 0.05%. And now this is as of December 16th, 2020. According to the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the national average interest rate, that's a federal corporation, the national average interest rate on savings accounts currently stands at 0.05%. This applies to both average and jumbo deposits. Now, some of you may say, well, if savings are only going to give me measly amounts of returns on my money, why don't I invest more? This is my philosophy. You always want more liquid cash, okay, just in case. Now, depending on your lifestyle, depending on your finances, you can flip those numbers. You can save $15,000 a year and invest $20,000 a year. Now, the stock market has been making people a lot of great money. So you can use that 5% interchangeably. But again, my thing is, I call it the 65-20-15 rule, because with 65% of your income, you can do your daily living, food, water, utilities, gas, all that good stuff, and pay off your debt. That's included in that 65%. Because I want you guys to break that down. Pay off your debt. Pay down your debt. With the 20%, you're saving. So that's $20,000 on 100K if you get paid that much a year. And you guys have to compute that and calculate that based upon your annual income. Then investing $15,000 a year on 100K. Okay? So it's very imperative, ladies and gentlemen, that you guys take this rule, and you can adjust it 5% here and there, but nonetheless, understand the power of saving with your emergency fund and having saving goals and saving for a particular reason. Once you get your emergency fund, anywhere from 6 to 8 months of your expenses, now you can start saving for those things that you want. You can start saving for your Rolex. You can start saving for cologne, whatever it may be. I have no idea. Gold chains and all these materialistic things that you want. Once you handle your affairs with your emergency fund, then you can start saving for whatever you want. Saving to go to Africa, to go to Australia, to travel anywhere in the world. Save for it once you have saved 6 to 8 months of your emergency fund. Okay? Make a goal for your money. The rest of that cash, go ahead and invest that cash. With the other 65%, that is your living costs and paying down your debt. Simple as that. Okay? This is Financial Literacy 101. Learn money and be inspired, and understand the difference of emergency fund and saving for something you want in the future. I'm out.